Ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves a night race for the first time here in the Indy NXT Oval Series here on P1 Broadcasting. We're live from Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina for round 2 of the inaugural season of this series here on iRacing. We're just rolling through practice as we see a number of cars out on track here to take to this 1.5 mile speedway. In North Carolina. That's not what I'm looking for. I want this. All right, we got 21 cars here tonight with a lot of familiar names and faces. You could probably already recognize a good number of these last names here on the driver list tonight. We've got Andre Castro back again tonight, Kyle Clenworth, Mark Murphy, Ty Keela, Matt Taylor, Ryan Campbell, who I've been told I need to look at his livery, Mohamed Omir, some new faces like Nate Armiot, and who else we got here? Sebastian Schreiber. Christopher Albrecht makes an appearance here. We've got familiar faces throughout the start of this Indy NXT series with Jeremy M.D. McGrory back again here tonight to take on this track. There we go. Okay, I need to get more on the ball with the graphic headings, but we'll hop on board with Kyle Clenworth if he takes to the track here. Get to a cockpit cam of Mr. Clenworth. He's just rolling out of the pit lane. We'll ride on board as he executes his qualifying here tonight. Got a number of people out in the chat here tonight. We got Orbiter227 clocking in with, this is going to be an interesting race. I agree. It's going to be interesting for a variety of reasons, I think. This car is a very tough one to handle on early on in these races, as we saw a good bit last week at Iowa. You know, maybe we can get somebody who's actually going at speed here. Is Kyle having himself some fun? I think Kyle's out here having some fun. Let's hang out with Mark Murphy. He's got a car that's going 175 miles an hour around this speedway here. One of the home tracks for NASCAR. Unlikely we'd see the Indy NXT series here in the real world. However, it is a fun thought experiment, much like many of the other ovals we see these open wheel cars take to here in the sim. Indy cars at Daytona, anybody? Looks like we've got a good number of times already out on the board. Mark's out here to set what looks like a proper flyer this time as he heads 196 miles an hour off into turn 3. Not an inconsiderate speed, just given even the horsepower disparity between this and its IndyCar brethren. Yes, any open wheeler at Daytona is a recipe for a very interesting disaster. We will certainly see that to potentially be the case here tonight, as qualifying is fairly tight as we see the front 3 cars all within a tenth of a second, within 3/4 of a tenth of a second for that matter. Top 5 within around that 1/10 mark. See if we can get another car. We'll chopper cam here with Caleb Brashear, the Luke Mansky driver out here tonight. Actually, let's check out Brian Campbell's car. He told me to check out his car here tonight. What's he got going on here? Rental Group. Is this supposed to be a real-world livery, or is this... Admittedly, I'm unfamiliar. It's not going to help me here. I do not know. Someone will have to let me in on if this is a scheme I'm supposed to be aware of, or if this is a new hot item, or if I've got the wrong scheme on my screen. 4,300 and change the strength of field here tonight. Another good showing for this Oval Series here on the top split. As we'll see, 21 cars take to the track tonight. Get our starting lineup here ready to go. Andre Castro starting where he finished last night in the Road Series here on P1 on the pole with a 27.173 pole time here tonight. Alongside him will be Will Gascoigne in that 21 machine, who would otherwise be shotgun on the field in terms of the I rating here tonight. Sebastian Schreiber will be rolling off third alongside Caleb Brashear in his Luke Mansky racing machine. Giancarlo Schooler rolls off fifth alongside Matt Taylor in sixth. Ty Keela in the Rogue Racing machine will start seventh alongside Crash Neon in the 10 car. We've got Brian Campbell in ninth alongside Adriano Forporti to round out that top 10. Got Mark Murphy here in his IAR machine here tonight. Freshly wrapped, that I'm aware of. This is a good-looking scheme for Mark here tonight, alongside Christopher Albrecht in 12th. Got Chris Wetz in 13th, alongside A.J. Pritchett in 14th. Elijah Gilson, 14th. Kyle Clenworth, 16th. Mohamed Omir, 17th. Nate Amiot in 18th. Ellis Spice, 19th. Jeremy M.D. McRory, 20th. And Cody Grommel will start 21st in shotgun on the field here tonight. We'll see if he can gain some ground here early. See these cars on the pit lane here. Get along with a TV camera that we can kind of see frontal on these cars. Let me quickly get that out of here. I broke the fourth wall. I apologize. That should give us some better camera angles as well. The Whiplash sim cams. You need some fancy cameras. Whiplash. We're rolling off here. Indy NXT from Charlotte. Our first of, I believe, 5 1.5 mile tracks on the schedule in this debut season. Cody Grommel's just happy to be here. We're happy to have you here, Cody. This is going to be a fun one. I have a feeling. One way or another, we're going to have some fun. That's what it's all about here at P1. We're out here to go fast, have fun, and show off the wonderful drivers we have in the open wheel parts of iRacing in particular, and the kind of the road to Indy, the IndyCar, amongst others. As we see Andre Castro weaving back and forth. Coming around turns 3 and 4 now. The field is about to be unleashed. And we'll see what these 21 drivers have here to lay bare. Pace car is off. Field in control of Andre Castro.
Green
He
flag,
launches.
green flag.
We're green. Gascoigne with a good run on the high side to start here. We'll see if he can get and stay alongside Castro in this opening running here. Does not appear to be the case. We're getting a number of cars funneling their way to the bottom. That top line, not the place to be. at this time. We'll see if it starts to gain some momentum. Oh, we got Castro around. Trouble at the front of the field.
Flag is out.
Castro's involved. Gascoigne's involved. Likely others as well. Cody Grommel managed to stay out of it. I'll have to see who else collected some damage here. Clenworth is well off. Not seeing a ton of other cars. It looks like maybe Castro was the one that got the brunt of it. See if maybe any of these other cars have noticeable damage. Doesn't appear to be the case. Cold tire death. Yeah, I think that's going to be something that's going to remain a factor with these cars, particularly on the ovals, is that the cold tires really, really get snappy when you start to load up that steering angle early on in these runs. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast with this car, seemingly, is you got to really stiffen it up and be ready to hold on to it for those first couple laps, wait for the tires to come in, and once they start coming in, you can start getting a bit more aggressive with the steering, bit more aggressive with the in-car adjustments with your roll bars, try to loosen the car up as we see Gascoigne here come down the pit lane alongside a couple others, likely to repair some damage through this opening crash. We'll see him joined by Ellis, or no, who else we got? It's just Gascoigne coming down the pit lane. Believe so. He's got the meatball flag. Looks like Giancarlo Schooler is also in the pit lane with a meatball flag, and Andre Castro, who we saw lose his rear wing backing into that outside wall. So that'll put the field in control of Sebastian Schreiber, who's a new face to me, which it's always good to see some new faces crop up in these races, get out here and race these cars against some of the best that we have to offer in our community. It's going to be kind of the name of the game, as I think survival and knowing where to put your car and when. Lights still on the pace car, so we've got some additional proverbial cleanup going on out there on the track here tonight. I don't think we got a full lap of green flag action quite just yet, so we'll see if these drivers can keep it under wraps for a couple laps. We'll see how the field kind of progresses once the tires and the cars get under them. Coming out of that Darlington race, I think a number of drivers are trying to take it easy with the difficulties that came their way at the track too tough to tame. Somebody had to tame it because somebody had to win that race, hopefully. Lights are finally off on the pace car. We will stay with the front of the field here. Take this camera here. Getting real awfully close to this pace car. Single file restarts here on the ovals for these cars, exactly like the IndyCar. We will see the pace car work the field into 3 and 4. Gonna back this up here so we can see a bit more of the field as we work our way into turn 3 here. Coming through 3 and 4. We'll see. We've got Matt Taylor near the front. Good to see him out here tonight in the Indy NXT Series. Pace car's off. Sebastian Schreiber in control of the field. He goes now.
Green flag, green flag.
Solid jump for Schreiber. We'll see if the rest of the field can reel him in and how long that takes. As we see Brashear stay towards the bottom with Taylor. Field stays relatively tame. We'll see if we can make it around one time. Too wide for
Caution,
third.
yellow
Oh, we're
flag.
yellow. Gilson? Looks like Gilson. Have to see if we can. We'll catch Gilson here. Coming off of turn number 2. Gets up high, comes down low, and appears to, I'm going to guess that was net code. Kind of hard to tell. But Elijah Gilson into the wall. And he will be done for the night. We'll shoot back up to the front of the field here as Gilson's car remains seated in the turn 3 apron area. Looks like it's going to be a tough one tonight, keeping all these cars pointed the right direction. And that's arguably the hardest thing to do sometimes, is keep your car pointed in that right direction, circulating these facilities. 100 miles an hour for Kyle Clenworth in qualifying. That would explain the quite sizable pace gap between, or time gap between Clenworth and the rest of the field. You know, we're going to hop to a couple cars deep in here. We'll hop on board with my co-presenter for the Indy Open Series on Monday nights, Mark Murphy. We'll hop on board his IAR machine. Get a quick look at his paint scheme, if I can find the right camera for it. Let's see. That's a solid. He's got the Blackmagic Studios logo on the side of that IL-15 as we go around here. It's a slick looking red, white, and blue chrome he's got going on his IAR machine. We'll get in the cockpit here and watch some pacing around here. You do see that they've got pacing lights for both the attenuator and the rear wing end plates, I believe is where those are positioned. Kind of go up a couple cars, make sure we don't lose track of our pace car here. We're on board with Sebastian Schreiber here. And you'll see this track is fairly banked in the corners here. Quad oval here in Concord, North Carolina. You've got a couple usable lanes typically, at least in IndyCar competition here. Not quite sure we'll see as much usable racing surface, but we haven't gotten enough green flag running to really determine that quite yet. Lights are now out on the pace car. We will hop back on board with Mark Murphy for this restart, as he's a couple cars deep in the field, and we'll get an idea of just what it's like navigating a restart here in the Indy NXT Oval Series. Let's go chicken. CT Gamer 12. Glad to see we've got some Mark Murphy fans in the house. We've got 8 laps down of a 45-lap event here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Big Jumbotron there on the back, showing us an iRacing advertisement. Shout out to iRacing for giving us this wonderful car that we're hopefully going to get some solid green flag action in here on this next restart. Rolling through turns 3 and 4. We'll stay on board with Mark for the restart. Pace car comes off of turn number 4, turns down into the pit lane. Field in control of Sebastian Schreiber. He is going. We are green. See Mark just barely offsetting his car of Crash Neon ahead. See a number of cars try to run that bottom lane for all they can get it for. Little squirrely through 3 and 4 for Merck. Well, we got at least one lap of green flag action. Let's see if we can get ourselves another. Caleb Brashear. Many laps are going to be fastest lap of the race here because this is going to be the first full green lap here. Get to an outboard camera here with Murphy. He's got a train of cars behind him with Chris Wetz right on his attenuator. This is our closest battle right now, I believe. Go to gaps between cars because it's going to be gaps between cars here. Caleb Brashear, fastest lap. Albrecht, fastest lap. 26.981. Brashear and Schreiber working that low line at the front of the field here. We see Matt Taylor running a bit higher up, trying to just stay with them throughout the lap here. We'll see if that ends up panning out at any point here. That bottom lane will remain fairly congested is my guess. Just given that it does seem to be the preferential line here as Will Gascoigne shoots to the fastest lap of the race with a 26.8. He's multiple laps down due to damage sustained early on in this event. We stay green for now. Got 4-car battle for the lead now. Ty Keela has rolled into the picture in his Lucky Charms road racing machine. Got the rainbows, the chrome rainbows on the side of that car. That's a good looking car. Credit to the painter for that one. He'll look to the high side with Matt Taylor. Got Crash Neon running 5th, Mark Murphy 6th, Wet 7th, Fraporti 8th, AJ Pritchett in 9th, and JD MD McGrory just moved up to 10th ahead of Mohamed Omir. Mostly single file, fairly orderly. We see cars kind of shuffle into line on the exits of the corners, further back in the field. We'll see just how long Sebastian Schreiber is able to hold on to this bottom lane. He is kind of opening up the corners to try to enter them, and that might be an opportunity for Brashear or Matt Taylor or somebody in this battle to hunt him from the inside lane. Stays fairly committed down the backstretch here. Fairly orderly so far. Challenger enter this battle at the front with Crash Neon now rolling the bottom. He took a podium finish last week here in this series at Iowa. See Brashear trying to look to the inside of Schreiber anywhere he can. Very, very tight here on the bottom. 3 cars stacked up. We've got another 4 kind of stacked up right behind them. Now 2 by 2 for 4th, with Mark Murphy leading the bottom line of that group. Wet's hot in tow. They'll stay down low. Schreiber remains at the point. We've got 10 cars separated by 0.2 of a second down to, actually, might be not quite that many. We've got about 10 cars separated by 0.6 of a second, give or take. 3/4 if we get back to AJ Pritchett running 10th. Still 16 runners here tonight, down to Ellis Spice running 16th. Got a big gaggle of cars here at the front. 13 cars under a 1-second blanket here. It's not a lot of time. One slip up for any of these cars near the front of the field could be absolute catastrophe for cars from behind. So they continue to work 3 and 4. See if we can hop on board with one of these cars kind of deeper in line here, get an idea of what they're looking at. Hop on board with Ty Keela running 9th. We'll get on board with him. He's kind of buried deep in the top 10 now. 2 by 2 ahead of him. Matt Taylor has not come off that high lane all night tonight. He's going to try to make that work for all it's got. And that may be the place to be if that bottom stacks up. It can stay stacked up on the bottom for him. You see Ty Keela rolling the bottom here, staying in line with the other runners at the bottom, working on Matt Taylor in that outside lane. Just about halfway through this race, going on to lap 22 of 45. Next time around will be the halfway mark. Properly, anyway. Glad to see that we got this race. Once it got rolling, it stayed rolling as we see McRory dodge to the grass with Rapporti ahead of him. Ty Keela shoots to the back. Unsure why that would be. Maybe thinking better of fighting up near the front with as racy as this field has been. Kind of single filed out on that bottom lane. We'll ride on board one more here with Mr. Keela. So we come to 22 laps to go, I believe. 23, 22, 23, 22. There we go. We'll hop back to the front here. Give Sebastian Schreiber his due. Hop on board to an outboard camera back here again. He still is leading. We've got Kyle Clinworth just inside the top 10 now, running in 10th. Quick rundown top to bottom. You've got Schreiber, Brashear, Neon, Murphy, Wetz, Rapporti, McRory, Albrecht, Matt Taylor, alongside Kyle Clinworth. They're going back and forth right now. Mohamed Omir runs 11th. Nate Amiot, 12th. AJ Pritchett, 13th. Ty Keela, 14th. Brian Campbell, 15th. Ellis Spice, 16th. And Will Gascoigne still out there running 5 laps down due to early damage in this race in 17th. Cody Grommel, Elijah Gilson, Andre Castro, and Giancarlo Schooler all out of this event here tonight. Still fairly orderly single lane on the bottom, which is kind of what we were suspecting coming into this event. Is that a lot of guys were going to be rolling that bottom, much to the chagrin of many, and it's going to come down to potentially if anybody can generate any sort of run off that bottom liner, the tires give way to that lead car slowing up enough to get somebody alongside them to pull them back. We stay single file for about 10 cars deep until you get back to Matt Taylor running 12th. He's willing to stay on that high side still. If you've enjoyed our coverage here tonight, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe with all your friends and family, or tell them to do the same. The more eyeballs we can get on this series, the better. Alongside its Road Series counterpart, I would love to have this stay as a mainstay on the P1 channel for many, many seasons to come, and community support is what it's all about, and getting everybody together. So the more people we got out here, the more the merrier. Starting to get racy towards the back half of the top 10. Bit of 2x2 action. Admittedly, I think a lot of these guys are looking to just kind of ride it out and get to the last 5 or 10 laps before they really start trying to push themselves up the grid. So you see Brashear look to the bottom. That was close. Brashear got to that left rear tire of Schreiber. Looked like he might have got him a little bit loose, but not enough room for Brashear to make any sort of genuine pass attempt. He looks to fade a little high, trying to gain any sort of additional momentum he can. Looks to the high side. Has a bit of a run. Opts to find the draft coming into turns 1 and 2 here. 15 to go. Still got a good bit of racing here left for guys maybe deeper in this field to start thinking of something, anything they can do to make up ground. Brashear looks again. He's so close coming on that entry. If Schreiber opens it up any more than he does, Brashear is there, ready to pounce. Cars all over the back straightaway. See Brashear still hard in the hunt on Schreiber. 2x2 to the back half of the top 10. We got Taylor and Klendworth. O'Meara. Matt Taylor has still not moved from that top lane. Yes, Emery, this is fixed setup. Both the Road and the Oval Series for the Indy NXT Series are fixed setup here on iRacing. Brashear right on that gearbox. Nowhere for him to go. Crash Neon still sitting in third. Mark Murphy fourth. Wetz fifth. Rapporti sixth. McRory seventh. Albrecht eighth. Matt Taylor ninth. O'Meara 10th. Positions will start to change hands towards the back of this field. 11 to go this time. Yeah, it looks very difficult to pass on any of the exterior lanes of the track. It's not entirely uncommon in these open wheel races to see it be difficult, at least on the fixed setup IndyCar side of things, for it to be difficult for the leader to make passes, or sorry, for cars behind the leader to make passes on the outside. Deeper in the field, you tend to see like a good bit of 2x2 running where passes can be made from either lane. That doesn't seem to be the case here. There's just not enough momentum for these guys to be able to generate anything off that bottom lane. Brashear's right there still, almost pushing Schreiber into turn one there. Crash Neon remains in tow in third. We'll see if anybody's got anything more to give here. Brashear's still looking. Neon is there. We've got 2x2 for fifth. Wetz is on the outside lane with Rapporti on the inside. Mark Murphy opts to go to the high side. He's got Chris Wetz in tow behind him. We'll see if they can make anything happen here on that top lane. It may be that it's a strength in numbers game, too. If you have a bit more of an air push on the high side, you might be able to do more with it. We'll see if that comes to fruition as we have a couple more cars working that high side now with Murphy and Wetz, with Matt Taylor and Ty Keela hot in tow there. Not quite able to make up any sort of ground just yet. See if that remains the case here. Top three remains the same as Brashear goes to the high side on Schreiber. He's looking to do something. See if he can generate a bit more momentum coming down this front straightaway. Maybe get alongside Schreiber. Not quite. 5 to go. Really tight in the field now. The outside lane has not been able to garner any sort of momentum. Bottom is just that tad bit stronger, especially when they stay organized. Any sort of checkup, though, and I think that top lane can start making something happen. I just don't think they're going to have enough time. But stranger things have happened here. Schreiber still leading, holding that bottom lane for all it's worth. Top side is starting to gain maybe a little bit of momentum as they start to bobble on the bottom. Two to go at the stripe. It's going to be pretty much now or never for anybody trying to make a move here at the front. Cars on the apron, working their way around, heading off turn 4 now. Brashear is there. Is he going to have anything for Schreiber? 1 lap to go. Brashear remains looking. Schreiber stays ahead. Brashear to the outside. Schreiber's going to take it. Seemingly no massive pileup. Post checkered. That's a welcome sign. As everyone starts to pull down off the racetrack after a very, very admittedly close, but not a ton of passing opportunities deeper in that field. It seemed like once a car got out to the front, that was that, as long as they could hold their line and keep it there. So, Sebastian Schreiber, your winner here tonight. Caleb Brashear second, Crash Neon third, Adriano Fraporti in fourth, Jeremy MD McRory fifth, Mark Murphy sixth, Christopher Albrecht will be seventh, Chris Wetz eighth, Ty Keela ninth, Matt Taylor will round out your top 10. Nate Amiot will be 11th, Kyle Clinworth 12th, Mohamed Omir 13th, AJ Pritchett 14th, Brian Campbell 15th, Ellis Spice last of the lead lap runners in 16th. Not even a second back off your winner tonight. Will Gascoigne, 5 laps down, still was chugging at the end there, but suffered some damage early on in this event, will finish 17th. Cody Grommel out 18th. Elijah Gilson alongside him. Andre Castro we saw early on suffer a lost rear wing. And rounding out your field will be Giancarlo Schooler in his number 14 machine here tonight. We'll give a couple more minutes to see if people funnel on in here for some post-race interviews, kind of talk about what they had going on tonight. See if we can get a replay queued up here for Crash Neon, who finishes on the podium here tonight in his Ghost Energy M&M's car. Give him one more, otherwise we'll bring Caleb Brashear up here. See what he has to say about his race. So we've got Crash down there. We'll get him on up here. Crash Neon, Jacob Collins, P1 Broadcasting Booth. You got me?
I got you.
Well, Crash, another podium finish for you here in the Oval Series. Kind of talk about your way through this this interesting race we had here tonight.
Yeah, it's basically just a game of survival, honestly. You have to hope the leader doesn't spin himself in turn 3, which ultimately did happen, and then throughout the race, the car was just basically like saying, you know what? Maybe I might go into death spin. Maybe I might not go into a death spin, and you're just like holding on for dear life, hoping that it does not want to go into a death spin. So you're just like almost driving it like a 410, basically.
Yeah, we've noted pretty heavily here on the ovals that cold tires early on in these runs catch a lot of drivers out as the car doesn't seem to quite be ready to hit those corners at the speeds that you've got them up to by that point in time. So we certainly saw that catch a couple drivers out here early, but once it got rolling, the field was able to stay relatively calm and collected. Didn't look like there was a ton of opportunities to make passing moves. Did you feel like there was any options for you guys out there to try to move up to maybe a different lane off that bottom, or did it come down to hoping for a mistake from the cars ahead to try to make anything happen?
Yeah, it was basically hoping that the car in front of you made a mistake because like sometimes the 11 car will wash up the track and just like, okay, wash up track, go for it. And then you come back down and block me. So there really is no option here for a second lane, especially with the whole looseness of the car. It's just like you can't tell if it's going to go loose or not, and you can't really have any momentum on the top lane at all.
Yeah, certainly something that we're not entirely accustomed to seeing on these 1.5-mile tracks in the IndyCar deeper in the field. That tends to be kind of a bit more of a struggle on the fixed setups towards the front of the field, which did remain the case here tonight. But hopefully that'll be less of an issue the further we get into the season and we see some more varied tracks. I know next week we're going to Texas, which maybe it'll race a bit different with the different banking on either end of the track, so we'll just have to wait and see. But you put on a solid showing here tonight nonetheless, so friends, family, sponsors, floor is yours, my friend.
I got two sponsors to shout out tonight. First one is going to go to a buddy of mine named Michael Mertz. On Saturday, he got hacked because he thought he was going to get a sponsor from 7-Up, and unfortunately, that led to his channel getting terminated. But thankfully, he got it back. So go over to Michael Root's channel, send Mikey some love. And my second shout out will go to Ghost Energy. They just released the raspberry cream flavor. It's an amazing flavor, and I would highly recommend it.
All right, there we go. Well, thank you, Crash, for making it out here again this week. We'll hope to see you out on track next week at Texas, or maybe even sooner.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Crash Neon, third place finisher here tonight. We'll get Caleb Brashear on up here shortly once I get the correct car on the screen. Caleb Brashear finishing second here tonight. We'll bring him on up. Luke Mansky Machine. Caleb Brashear, Jacob Collins of the P1 Broadcasting Booth. You got me?
Yep.
Well, Caleb, you did just about everything you possibly could to try to set up a pass to win this race here tonight. Did you feel like you had any chance to make something happen going to the end of this race?
No. Basically, the only way I had a chance in order to pass the leader was just to make sure or hope that he made a mistake, because I know there was a couple times going into turn one or in the quad oval where he was sometimes going high, and I'm like, okay, maybe I could sneak a nose in and he'll let me have the space, and that was the only chance he really had at any place to overtake around here. But thankfully I didn't have the oversteer like everybody else did because of the lap one wing damage, so I was just understeering the entire time, and the car actually felt kind of nice to drive because it wasn't oversteering every single corner.
Yeah, it looked like a number of guys were struggling, especially early on with the snap oversteer that this car kind of has inherently on the colder tires through the starts and restarts. Seems to basically reset the car entirely in terms of the tire temp and keeping it underneath you. So, a bit of wing damage didn't seem to hurt you because you stayed up near the front. You have any other thoughts as to what you think you could have done in terms of maybe a yellow cycle, maybe catching a better restart at some point in time? We saw obviously the leader gets a huge jump, as is kind of traditional on these ovals. Is there just any other opportunities to kind of muster anything, or is it just kind of what you gain is what you got?
I think it's what you gain, what you got. I mean, when the two restarts happened, and Taylor was right in front of me. I don't think he got the greatest restart on the starts, and I felt like maybe we could have had something, especially on that second one, because I saw the leader get loose actually in turn two, and he kind of washed up. I felt like me and Taylor were right behind, and we could have made something happen on him. But it's pretty much just single line racing the entire way around.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see something a bit different with Texas with the variable banking on either end, but we'll only have to wait a week to find out. Friends, family, sponsors, anybody you want to shout out, podium finish, floor is yours.
Obviously, every race goes out to Scott Reddick. Love you, buddy. But other than that, Luke Mansky for signing me on and bringing me on just at the end of last season. And our sponsor, iPredictor, that we also just signed. Go check them out. And other than that, that's pretty much all I got.
Well, it's good to see you out here, Caleb. We'll hope to catch you more in the Indy NXT series throughout the rest of the season here. And obviously, you've got a solid career going on in the IndyCar, winning that GSI Open Wheel Invitational event at the Sim Gaming Expo. So you've been on a bit of a hot streak. We'll keep letting you flex your accolades there for you. We'll hope to catch you out here more. Keep going fast, having fun. Good P2 here tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Yo, real quick. You did say accolades, even though out of the 4 broadcasts up to this point, I have DNF'd in all of them. So this, hopefully we can turn things around with this one.
We're gonna right the ship here for you. None of those races happened. This is the first one I've seen all season. I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. No Jacques Villeneuve's after his F1 championship here.
There we go. All right, we got ourselves a winner in Caleb Brashear here. Finishes second tonight. Have a good one, Caleb.
All right, thank you.
I believe that's going to round it out for podium interviews here tonight. We'll get Sebastian's car up on screen. I believe that's who won this race. Sebastian Schreiber will get his due. Started third. Managed to win this race here tonight. P1 at the end of the night. Quite the expected outcome, I think, for cars that were able to survive and stay near the front. And hopefully we'll see another quality race here in the Indy NXT Oval Series next week at the Texas Motor Speedway, alongside the Road Series Monday night at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Alongside the rest of P1's coverage throughout the week, I believe we've got the Formula Indy Series tomorrow night. Let me get the time straight on that one. That's a big one. They're getting into their second round tomorrow. That'll be from Auto Club or Fontana, California Speedway, however you'd like to call it. They'll be live tomorrow. And then I believe the only other league I'm aware of is Votive will be running Sunday from Iowa. Sunday night, Iowa Speedway. Mark Murphy chiming in. Holy smokes, I tried to make the top work and cost myself P4, but you got to give it a go. Can't say you didn't try, Mark. We were rooting for that outside lane to do something. So hopefully we'll see you back next week at Texas. I know you love yourself some Texas. We'll see if you can get yourself on the top step next week here in the Indy NXT Oval Series on P1. Want to thank everybody for tuning into this broadcast. And for those that do all the difficult jobs around the world that let us do the things we love, thank you. Have a good night, everybody.